Welcome to SportsBeat KC, the Kansas City Star's daily sports podcast. It's Friday, August 6th, and I'm Blair Kirchhoff. So much going on in soccer this week, locally and internationally. Sporting Kansas City visited Los Angeles and put a beat down on LAFC. What is it about the West Coast this team seems to love? Sporting welcomed back Alan Pulido from Gold Cup duty, but has bid farewell to Gianluca Busio, whose transfer to the Italian team is now official. How did Sporting address this roster opening? We tell you. Speaking of the Gold Cup, and we do on the show, a great experience for Busio, who I think will see more on national teams going forward. After a break, we talk about the U.S. women's national team and their bronze medal performance at the Olympics. It's a medal, right? But was this a gold or bust moment for the team coached by Kansas City?
So what happens
Vlatko
just before a
Andonovski?
podcast?
All of this and more with star reporters Shaun, Goodwin, and Cora Hall. Let's get started.
Well, now we can get started because we were delayed, not because anybody was late, but because we were frantically trying to figure out the correct pronunciation of Jose Mauri's. I can't even get it right. His last name.
We'll go with Mauri.
We're going to go with Mauri. Is that what we're going to do?
That's all we'll go with.
All right, I'm with you on that. The latest acquisition by Sporting Kansas City, an international transfer, happened just today. We're recording this on Thursday, mid-afternoon. Shaun, take us through the circumstances that brought Jose Mauri to Sporting KC. What kind of player is he? Where did he come from? When are we going to see him in the lineup?
Yeah, so Jose Mauri, Argentine-Italian midfielder. Born in Argentina, is Italian. His grandmother is Italian, and he spent most of his career in Italy, actually, for the likes of AC Milan, Empoli, a couple of Italian teams out there. But yeah, Sporting KC brought him in on a free transfer from Argentinian side Tellerez earlier today. His contract would run out there. Now he's been released by the club. And Sporting KC has brought him in on basically a deal through 2022 with an option for 2023. A guy who can play a 6, he can play a 8, which I personally think Sporting KC, with the emergence of Cam Duke and Felipe Hernandez's consistent playing outside of his personal leave, I thought Sporting KC was good in midfield, but yeah, he's come in. It's kind of the segues what we'll be talking about soon with Busio. Wasn't in the squad for LAFC. Rumours with him to Venezia. It's kind of what's being whittled down to will be finalised soon, it looks like. So yeah, we've got Mauri coming as what looks to be his replacement.
Before we get into that and Busio's status, how long would you expect it to take him to get up to speed? And the Sporting plays on Saturday at Colorado, and that would seem to me too soon to see him in a uniform. But I don't know. I mean, you tell me. How soon could it be?
I don't expect him to garner any meaningful minutes for a couple of weeks. I say that with the fact that the Argentinian league is split into 2 phases, basically. Very similar to Liga MX. You have the Victoria and Closera. Same Argentina, so they finish their season in May. And then goes like the quarterfinals and semis of the playoffs, which he doesn't feature in. So, he played a couple of games back in May, and the Argentinian league started up this past couple of weeks, but he hasn't played any games out of the 4 games played so far. So we're talking about a guy who hasn't played in a competitive fixture since May. So, when you think of it like that, it's basically an off-season, and most guys, I'm sure he's been practicing and training, but he hasn't had any significant game time for a long time. So, as I was saying just then, I think Sporting's got plenty of depth, to be honest. Espinosa's, kind of near the end of his career and whatnot, but Illy and Slossing there. Cam Duke has been doing great. Remy Walter is stepping up. So I don't think it's a huge issue, but it's good depth, and whether he's a starter or not for the long term, I don't know. But I think it'll be a couple of weeks till we get our first proper look at him, to be honest.
And there's plenty of season left for Sporting KC. And listen, I'm all. It sounds like he sounds like a very talented guy. I can't wait to see him in the lineup. But the way Sporting's been playing the last few weeks, maybe even last couple of months, I don't know how much you want to tinker with things. The latest evidence, the 4-1 victory at LAFC on Wednesday night, they were just tremendous. 4-0 against a good team on the road. Wow, just
historic win.
Break it down. Yeah, historic. Tell us why.
Yeah, for true history, I know LAFC hasn't been in the league for that long, but they've never conceded 4 goals at home. So Sporting's the first team to travel to the Bank of California Stadium and score 4 goals. Sporting was 3-0 up at half-time, which was the first time since 2010 that Sporting's gone on the road and scored 3 goals in the first half. So both, historical, meaningful stats. It's not your piddly kinds of stats like first time Sporting scored 70 degrees on a Wednesday night. It's like meaningful stats. So excellent game. Alan Plezo did come back. He scored after 20 minutes despite having practiced with the team for a month. And they just look so good. And after the Seattle game, I asked Peter if that was a statement game. He said no. After the LAFC game, I asked the same question. He said he doesn't even know what a statement game is. As soon as you get full of yourself, the soccer gods will get you. So, just staying grounded, which is great. But I think he kind of has to say that right. But when you take a look at it, go wide angle, the Seattle game, I got his viewpoint in both teams were missing players, Gold Cups, injuries, so on and so forth. But LAFC, they were missing Segura, missing Murillo, 2 very good defenders. But that was an LAFC team that was still stacked with all-stars. Atuesta, Vela, Rossi, and even past those guys, they've got, plenty of great depth down the team. So 4-1 on the road, that is a big, big, big victory for Sporting KC. And now top of the West with a game in hand.
They own the West Coast this year as well. It's playing well in the West Coast. And again, they go back on the road on Saturday against Colorado. Daniel Salloi, another goal for him, and big news for him this week as well. Tell us about that.
Yes, Daniel Salloi, first All-Star call-up, which is great for him. He is Sporting KC's only representative this year. And he keeps the tradition going of a Sporting player being in every single All-Star roster since the inaugural season of the league back in '96. So great for him. But it's I think it does bring up the question of, I think fan voting for All-Star games, it's a nice way to get the fans interested. But it's a popularity contest. Let's not forget I can't remember if it was the 2014 or the 2015 MLB All-Star game. That was basically the Royals because of the fan voting, which is great. And obviously, there was lots of good players who deserve to be there. But you look at Daniel Salloi, he has the most goal contributions in the league, combining goals and assists, 15. He's tied for second in goals, and he's right behind the leader, Carlos Hill. He has a lot of assists, but Salloi is up the standings in assists as well. And he wasn't voted in by the fans. How the MLS All-Star game worked. Yeah, go on.
I was going to say, and first player produced from the academy, MLS All-Star team, which is pretty darn cool. Hey, let's keep it on the men's side just for another moment or two. Did both you guys see the Gold Cup final? Did you stay awake long enough to see it all? Cora, did you burn the midnight oil to watch USA Mexico?
I'm not gonna lie, I tried to go to bed early so I could wake up for the game, and then I ended up just staring at my wall. And then I like turned on to Twitter and I saw that they won. And I was like, I should just watch the game.
It was incredible. You know, the U.S. Mexico, the second time they played this summer for a trophy, and the U.S. wins both of those games. There's something, Shaun, you have followed soccer your whole life. You know what the great rivalries are in the sport, in club play and in international play. I don't know where USA Mexico ranks, but when games turn out to be just chaos and havoc and just a frenzy type of game, and I think the crowds contribute to that as well. This is a pretty darn good rivalry.
Oh yeah, it's great. I was down at Power and Light for the game. Not so much burning the big nice oil, more than fueling myself with a little bit more oil to stay awake that night. But yeah, no, great rivalry. And yeah, at Kansas City P&L, you had out in the main courtyard, all of the Mexican fans. I was in Johnny's where a lot of the US fans were. And it's I don't know if you can call it a friendly rivalry nowadays. There wasn't too much going on at P&L, thankfully. But yeah, no, to answer your question about just how this rivalry ranks on the world stage, it's obviously the two best teams, in CONCACAF and North America. So that helps, and it's a historical rivalry. Just, I guess being English, it's a little bit tougher for me to point to words. But USA and Mexico, it's always just kind of been that big game for the last couple of decades now. I don't think it's been ranked as highly on the world stage just because it's the opposite side of the world from the European teams, and it's like European soccer elitism, for lack of a better word, where it's not noted. But no, I mean, even if you look at the FIFA rankings now, after they do the most recent, they update the rankings after this summer's worth of soccer, it's looking like USA will be number 9 and Mexico number 11, I think. Which, I mean, that's a top matchup, right? If you get a 9v11 seed college basketball game, that's primetime TV.
That's a regional final.
Yeah, so it's an extremely exciting rivalry going forwards. And for years, I feel like the US, at least my time in America, like the US might snatch a game here and there, and it's like, the US is catching up to Mexico, and we look at the Leagues Cup and whatnot, or the CONCACAF Champions League, where a US team occasionally beats a Liga MX team, and it's like, US is catching up. I feel like we finally got to that point, right? We've had 2 finals. The Nations League was US's the top team, right? That was a great game. And then people probably shout at me for saying this, the Gold Cup roster, people are saying, it's not an A team, a B team, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, I mean, the best players weren't at the Gold Cup roster, and they still got it done. Mexico was missing a couple of players, but that was like 80% of their first team who played in the Nations League. And the US still managed to beat them. It was a great game plan from Berhalter. He knew that the team that the US on the field couldn't go punch for punch with that Mexico team. So it was a defensive and attacking or counter-attacking masterclass, in my opinion.
Well, and what fun for us to have Gianluca Busio and Alan Pulido on the field against each other in the last 30 minutes or so of that game, including the extra time. So, all right, let's take a break here, and when we come back, we've got some Olympic soccer and KC NWSL to talk about. We are back with Cora Hall and Shaun Goodwin, who cover soccer for the Kansas City Star. Cora, the U.S. women's soccer team got a medal in Tokyo this week. Wasn't the color that they had hoped to get, but it is a medal, and they won the bronze. I don't know how to feel about this. I'm really sad for Vlatko Andonovski, the coach who had won all of his games until he gets to the Olympics. But was about 22 games or so. He gets to the Olympics. They get hammered by Sweden. They get back though and get themselves in a position to play for a medal and then lose to Canada. So what are you feeling about the way the U.S. women's soccer team played at the Olympics? And I know what's in store for this team.
Well, I think, at the end of the day, a medal is a medal, and I think everyone needs to celebrate it as such because there's been a lot of discourse of this Olympics about, getting gold versus other ones for these American athletes. And I think it's wrong to, say, well, they didn't get the gold medal, and in so many sports, I think that's just wrong to not celebrate a medal as a medal. So first of all, that's kind of how I feel about that. Second of all, that rematch with Canada of the 2012 semifinal, I think everyone was so excited for that. And we're just really hoping that we were going to see the U.S. men's national team look like themselves after they really had not the whole tournament. And it didn't happen, unfortunately. So I think, Canada deserves that win. It was a penalty in my opinion. That was a PK, and it sucks that it was Davidson because she had such a good game. She's going to be such a good piece for them moving forward. So I think her and Nair were the two that did play really, really well that game. So it was unfortunate that it happened that way, but I am excited to see Christine Sinclair get to compete for a gold medal, and I think that based on how that game was played, they deserve the win.
Great moment coming up for an opportunity for Canada to on the world stage. But I don't know, Shaun, how I think maybe how I feel about PKs. I think the punishment has to fit the crime. And in this case, I'm not sure that it did, but Cora's right. I don't think it was a wrong call. Just I wouldn't have liked it either way, but I didn't like the call that gave Canada the opportunity for the penalty kick.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, penalty is a penalty, and it's a 90-minute game, right? If you don't take your chances, we can be disappointed for the team or be wanting our game was decided 1-0 by a unfortunate penalty. Again, it was a foul. It was just an unfortunate situation, to be honest. But, I mean, if you don't go up the other end and score a goal in 90 minutes, I feel like that's how the game goes, to be honest. I have no issue with penalties in a game. I know penalty shootouts is a whole different question. But I don't know. I have a little bit less money riding on this as well, I was Team GB. So I obviously wanted America to win. I think it was unfortunate that, they had to settle for bronze. But as Cora was saying, it's still a medal, right? I just think it's tough for this current generation of players. I truly think that was probably their last good chance. It's something you have to start moving on, right? And the likes of your Tobin Keeps, Megan Rapinoe, Carly Lloyd, Becky Sabrum, great players, but you're getting on. Do you want to hold on to those players for the next World Cup, or do you want to start giving some of the younger players a chance and trying to rebuild the next generation? It's like, how do you replace this team with Michael Jordans? Because that's what they all are. So it's tough to see them go out not winning a gold, but a bronze is a bronze. It's still a medal, right?
I also think it would have been tougher if they would have played well. I mean, they even all admitted that they weren't playing well. And obviously I'm not a coach and I do like Vlatko, but there was just subbing decisions that made me question what was going on. Like against Canada, we were getting really just dominated in the midfield, right? And you've got Julie Ertz in there for every single minute of every game besides the first one. And you've got, Lindsey Horan, and you started Lynn Williams and didn't start Sam Mewis, but you're going to take out Lynn Williams and not play her with press or Sam Mewis. And that just didn't make any sense to me when Sam Mewis and Lynn Williams were the ones scoring for you last game. And then replacing the whole front line at the same time was just weird when the midfield was really the ones getting just ran over. And, Sinclair obviously was making Ertz super ineffective. It was probably part of her job, and she did a good job of that. But it hurt us because, it just Lavelle and Horan were able to make up for Julie kind of being taken out. So it was just, there was decisions that I was kind of caught off guard by. along with the fact that we didn't get a shot on goal until the 65th minute. So that's the other, I mean, the penalty didn't feel good. It was kind of a bad way to have them get ahead when they hadn't been pushing the tone or getting opportunities. That was like their first chance. But we also didn't create any of those really quality chances for 65 minutes. So I don't really know, how they expect to win a game like that. So I think there's a lot of young players I would love to see get a chance. I'm not going to lie. I grew up watching these, legendary players who are at the end of their stint kind of, and it is really sad to see them go. And it's obviously some of the greatest soccer players that will come through our national team, but there's so many exciting younger players that are going to do really great things with this national team. So I think, you can be sad about the other ones leaving and think, oh, it's the end of an era, but it's the start of a new one. And there are so many young players in the NWSL too, who are going to do great things with this team. So I'm personally very excited to see other people get their chance, kind of like how we saw with the Gold Cup. These young guys were exciting. Some of them played even better than we thought they would, and they went out and won a Gold Cup. So I think the U.S. women's team needs to kind of match that energy too, going forward.
Well, you're right. And you talk about the end of an era. I do think when we look back on, on this team and these players together, maybe the greatest stretch of success with the 2 World Cups. And, it's too bad they couldn't cap it off with a gold medal. But listen, I can remember, and you guys aren't old enough, but I remember the changing of the guard previously when after the 1999 World Cup, when the Mia Hamm, the Julie Foudy, the Christine Lilly, that team, the teams don't stay together forever. And I think the decision was made this time to keep the veterans together for this, for the Olympics, give them a shot at the Olympics. There was disappointment. They didn't get a medal the last time they participated in the Olympic Games. So let's give them a chance to get a medal. Didn't get the gold, got the bronze. And I do think over the next, to answer Shaun's question, I don't think we'll see some of these women in the next World Cup, which is 2023, by the way, 2 years from now in Australia and in New Zealand. So
the other thing that Julie Foudy actually made a really good point of is with this roster originally, you weren't going to have time to rebuild a younger roster because it was a year, right? And then COVID delayed it. So then you can't gather players because no one's playing and there's nothing going on. So there wasn't, like, Vlatko kind of had his hands tied with the roster selection because it's like originally you weren't thinking you were going to have a lot of roster turnover because it's just a year. And then everything happens with COVID and you kind of have to stick to what's familiar and people who you believe can get the job done.
Okay, hey, it's been a couple of games without Amy Rodriguez. How are the newcomers fitting into KC NWSL, Cora?
I would say swimmingly. They jumped right in and I've already made impacts. Caitlin got her first start in that last game and I thought she was fantastic. She made really, good reaction saves, low to the post, goals that aren't easy, to get behind. So, and the 2 goals they gave up were very unfortunate in that she didn't really have a chance. They weren't her fault. So I thought she played very well, really connected with the back line with her feet, even though she's only been there since 22nd of July. So, I think she's going to be a really key player for them going forward. And then, Mace and Hamilton started up top, and I thought they were just great last game. They started pushing the pace at the beginning. They really should have had a goal pretty early on. Hamilton had that, I believe it was a header, and Bella Bixby just unhumanly leapt over with one hand and saved it. I was just, with my jaw on the ground, I was like, that should have been a goal. Like, that was stolen from them. So, them jumping out to a 1-0 lead makes that a different game, I think, last week. But they definitely started off, really quite strong against Portland, which is the number 1 team in the league.
Boy, it seems like every time they play, they're playing the best team in the league.
KC NWSL.
Right. Okay. When's the next game? What's next for them, Cora?
They play Sunday at Louisville.
Gotcha. Racing Louisville, another expansion team. Okay. Hey, guys, good conversation. Cora Hall, Shaun Goodwin, thanks for joining us today. And this is the last show, at least for now. I mean, who knows what happens after this, but Cora Hall's time at the Kansas City Star will come to an end before we record another soccer podcast. Cora, we have really enjoyed having you, and Briar Napier, who couldn't be with us today because he is on another assignment. But what fun it was to have you and Briar here this year, 2 interns for the Kansas City Star who really love soccer. So thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. Making my life so much easier.
Well, thank you. I've so enjoyed working with you guys, and it's been a fantastic summer.
All right, guys, take care.
That'll do it for today and this week on SportsBeat KC. Big thanks to our production staff of Derek Donovan, Beth Welsh, Monty Davis, Jeff Rosen, Chris Fickett, and Savannah Smith. Tip of the cap to Shaun Goodwin and to Cora Hall for stopping by and talking soccer. Their stories can be found in the show notes and on kansascity.com. Hey, we have another deal for you. You can subscribe to Sports Pass for 99 cents a month. That's right, 99 pennies a month. Sports Pass is the online version of the Star Sports section. You get all the stories that appear in the print editions of the Star, plus additional stories that appear only on the website, and of course they post first on kansascity.com. After 3 months, it auto-renews at $5.99 a month unless you cancel, and of course it's a great time to subscribe. Read about what's going on with the Chiefs at training camp, the Royals, who just took 2 out of 3 at Chicago, the colleges, man, who knows what's going on with KU, K-State, and the Big 12, our soccer teams, and more. How do you get it? You go to kansascity.com/sportspass2020. That is kansascity.com/sportspass2020. You want more than just sports coverage? Check out the entire Kansas City Star product. Sports news features, commentary, and analysis, the whole thing. You get all the stories written by my talented colleagues, plus additional national news, sports, and business coverage with the e-edition. The details for all of these deals can be found at account.kansascity.com/subscribe. And if you're having trouble hunting down any of the offers, you send me an email, bkirkhoff@kcstar.com, and I will get you to the right place. So whether it's the Sports Pass or the full subscription, you're getting and supporting the best sports and news coverage in Kansas City and helping us produce programs like SportsBeat KC. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back on Monday with another episode.